I mentioned, I think in two of my last videos, two in a row, how Calm, my friend that I worked out with, he didn't respond to me. He just ghosted me all of a sudden for no apparent reason, even though it seemed like he enjoyed working out. And now, today, I got a text from him saying that he's down to work out. It was just that he had some family things, which is valid. I That's okay. Like, you don't have to respond to me if you've got family. I'm not gonna pry. I don't know what that's like, so all good. But on the flip side, you could have at least told me I'm not gonna be working out. Can you give me a bit of time? I'm gonna be taking a break. You didn't have to ghost me. Still a little salty, but I understand. I see how it is. I know people are busy, and I know it's also awkward. I've been in the position where it's like you have to respond. You're called to respond to someone, but you have no idea how. So you'll just postpone it. You'll procrastinate. And you'll keep on procrastinating because you don't know how to respond to that message. And then you end up just forgetting and ghosting that person. But it's by accident. It's not, you don't intentionally, you don't want to ghost that person. But I wouldn't do that. The thing is, there's a level to it. That wouldn't happen to any one of my close friends. I would never do that. Because if they're my close friend, I'd be able to explain any situation that I'm having. I feel like the conversations I have with my really close friends, I can say anything. I can, I have no burden to, to almost, it's not really impress them. It's more like I have no burden to, wow, I have no idea what the word is, but it's something like put in effort. Yeah, I'll have to think of the word later on, but it's something like, yeah, okay, I don't owe them anything, and they don't owe me anything, so I don't have to go out of my way to put in effort in this conversation to create a, I don't know, I'm getting off track, I guess, but oh man, specifically to the point, it's where if I'm not close to somebody texting, I'll have to be really formal and I'll have to be careful in how I phrase things and how I say things. Like if I were to invite someone that I didn't know to play soccer, for example, or to study, I would phrase that really differently, and I take a few minutes to send the text. Normally, I would have done that before. Now I'm pretty comfortable with sending messages to anybody, as opposed to a friend, where I could just shoot them a text and say, "Hey, you want to study right now?" Done, and then they'll respond, "No, busy right now. How about in a few minutes?" Okay, done. Where? And then so on. And that's how conversations with anybody should be. You should be really relaxed without having to be too afraid of being super formal or presenting yourself. I think that's the word. That's the word that I was looking for. Presenting, or the phrase, presenting yourself as perfect, I guess. Or really just presenting yourself well. In front of close friends, you don't have to present yourself well. That's why you can send all these texts without thinking twice about if you sent them correctly or if you put in the right words. Especially that's such a big thing for texting girls too. Like no matter what, or I guess girls texting guys too. But since I'm a guy who would text a girl, it's more applicable to me in that sense. You put in a lot of thought, and you second guess yourself. You question if the phrase is right, if the into like the phrase has to, the text message has to be perfect. At least for me, I think about that a lot. But it's actually, ironically, it's better if you don't even think about it. If you just send the message without thinking. Hey, want to meet up later today or tomorrow? Sure, what time works for you? 6 p.m. Done. Rather than, hey there, Lindsay, I really liked your blue shirt yesterday in the mall, and I happened to be passing by the golf course tomorrow. So, did you want to, like, all of that is convoluted, and it seems to try hard. I guess is the sense, is the impression. You just want to seem really relaxed with anybody. So, there's not really there's not really any any difference there. Any you shouldn't have any difference between any person. And there's one other thing. There's one other thing. Man, I forgot it. Uh-oh. Okay. I'll pause it and then I'll think of the thing that I was going to come to. So this is the problem with doing an improvised video. It's where I just have nothing else to talk about, and I could rant about my day, but there was something I did want to talk about. There was something that I wanted to talk about today, or a few days ago, that I missed, that I wasn't able to. Okay, so I completely forgot what I was going to talk about. I remembered it just now, but I had to check notes, my notes that I had. I know I said I didn't have any, and I didn't think I had any, but turns out I did. But I'm not even going to talk about those. I'll talk about those next video. What I wanted to address was the video in which I talked about height maxing. That was a fun video to make, but in that video, there was a picture that I referenced where it was basically what girls find attractive for looks and also touch, but I mainly focused on looks because I find that the most interesting. So, right, based on looks, it was basically just upper body. Abs wasn't even that important, and hands. The problem with the study, there's a couple problems. One is it doesn't define, sure, you know what the most important muscle groups are, but, or the most important body part is, but it doesn't tell you what it should look like. So, what I mean by that is hands. So, hands was extremely red, especially the I don't even know what to call it, the back of the hand. The fingers, not so much, the hand. So, does that mean you'd want a massive hand, a massive hairy hand, or would you want a massive hairless hand, a massive veiny hand, a massive non-veiny hand? I'm guessing it's massive just because I feel like a small hand is more feminine, and it has been shown that females just prefer, okay, straight females prefer more dimorphic features. So, what I mean by that is a feature that's easy to attribute to not their own gender. So that's shown to be more attractive. Like, this is an example, but I'm not saying this is attractive to females. And Adam's apple. And Adam's apple would be something that's pretty distinct. You don't see it in females, but it's pretty clear in males. And I guess you could make a point that it is attractive, but since every male usually, I hope every male has it, there's no way, like a bigger Adam's apple isn't gonna make you more attractive. But with the hands example, yeah, a more hairy hand might. There's definitely a diminishing return because you don't want like a furry hand, right? That's just not going to be attractive at all. So you have to. I guess there's a balance. But what I was saying with the study is there's no way to see where that limit is because you can't. It's such a hard thing to gauge. Like, how much hair? Oh, exactly 321 grams. You can't tell. Like, nobody's gonna know. Like, even I don't know how much hair I have. You could say that I have like a decent amount of hair, or you could say I'm basically hairless, and you don't know where to put the average. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. You don't know how to verbally describe these what you're looking for. The other problem that my friend pointed out, I showed this to my friend yesterday, and he mentioned one of the biggest problems is women don't know what they're looking for. And I didn't even consider that, but I believe that to be true. So, how is it that they likely they don't know exactly what they want until they see it? And even when they see it, so they could say that they want a massive chest, a guy with a massive chest. But then when they see a guy with a massive chest, they'll say, well, actually, I prefer a guy with a little bit less of a muscular chest, or more forearms, or biceps are more important. Things like that. You don't know until you see it, especially for girls. I'm just gonna say it straight up, like, girls don't know what they want until it's presented. And even then, it's so hard for a girl to decide what she wants. Yeah, that's the main bulk of what I wanted to talk about. And because of that, right, I almost forgot. Because of that, so I was thinking, well, it'd be cool to survey this. It'd be cool to find results. Find the optimal physique, Just as a computer science student, I would want to find the optimal physique, the optimal way of living, the optimal book, just everything optimized my entire life. That's just how my brain works. And so on this perspective, how can I find the optimal physique for a male for the female gaze? And I was thinking, okay, well, surveys are pretty good at this. If you go in and interview people, if you interview the population you want to survey, then that'll be perfect because you'll get the response exactly how you want it. Well, you'll get a very accurate response. So I searched up on YouTube. I think it was something like girls rate most attractive physique, something like that. And so it's a video. There's a few videos where a guy has a laptop or a phone and he presents these pictures to girls and he says, which one do you find most attractive? And then the girl will say, one of the above, and then the guy will tally it. So 1 for physique B, 1 point for physique B, and then continuing on. And there's a lot of problems with this sample size. What population, what demographic are you looking at? Are you interviewing? A lot of this. Now, hopefully you'd expect to get an answer where and also the question, how it's phrased too. So you could ask, would you want to be in a relationship with this guy? Or do you find this guy most physically attractive? Which guy do you find most physically attractive? So those are two very different things. Because long term, girls would likely be looking for a guy who's not even that attractive facially, but in terms of short-term mating, that's a serious consideration. Facial attractiveness is really highly considered for girls, at least. For guys, it's always considered, I'm pretty sure. But for girls, there's such a disparity between long-term and short-term mating. So I'm guessing my hypothesis would be you'd see something similar, where that's why girls are looking for dad bods, or you see sometimes that girls are looking for dad bods. It's because of this. It's because they want someone who's not promiscuous, I guess, is almost the way to put it. Who's able to establish a relationship with them. Not someone who's a model, who's cold, detached, and who's seen in all those romance movies. Or I guess romance. Yeah, no, all those romance movies where you daydream of the guy. But you wouldn't actually want to be in a relationship with that guy. Yeah, I guess you'd want to mate with that guy, but you wouldn't want to live with that guy. And there's a parallel on the male side too. There's a lot of girls that I would consider very attractive in terms of physical attractiveness, but then there's girls that I wouldn't I find them attractive. I subjectively find them attractive, particularly because I think they're a viable mate long term. Because I think they don't look that attractive. Like it's a very strange concept where you almost don't want to be too attractive just because that'll actually hurt you long term for a stable relationship, for a loving relationship. That's what I believe anyways. Feel free to disagree, but I think I would say it's pretty backed up by science and surveys. Right, but I never mentioned what I was going to actually say. So with these surveys, there's always problems, especially the physiques they choose. So what I think I'm going to do, and what I'm hoping to do, is when I go into Carleton, I have the lavalier microphone, so I could interview random people. I could bring my laptop. I could go around campus and interview girls with the physiques that I'm looking for. So let me lay it out really quickly, because I'm already at 23 minutes. So it'd be something like a physique where super skinny. Then there'd be super fat. And I'd cut out the faces too. I'd make all the skin types, all the pigmentation of the skin the same. Maybe with Photoshop. And right, so skinny, fat, extremely skinny, extremely fat, and then I do gradients of the two. And then maybe I could do something like gradients of muscularity. So Yeah, no, I'm realizing this is really tough to do because you'd want to do a gradient of skinny to really muscular. So skinny, lean, skinny, ripped, and then that gradient. And then you'd want to do another gradient of fat, no muscle, all the way to bulky, but very muscular. So bodybuilder style. Like as much muscle as you can pack on, rather than being lean. So I'm thinking, and I want to specifically. I know there's this there's this guy who's become really popular on TikTok. I think it's TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and maybe even Reels, where he cuts wood. He's a lumberjack and he just cuts wood, but he has the. I'm guessing he has the perfect female physique. And I mean, to support that, he has a large audience of females. So it would make sense. So maybe I could include him too. That would be really cool. I I'm really looking forward to doing this. And what I could do even too, I'm just thinking as I'm talking now, I could do these gradients in different videos. So first I could tackle the skinny to fat gradients on one sample size. Now it'd be ideal to do all of them every single time, but we'll we'll see how it goes. Or I could do every single one. So all four grade three gradients, all three gradients with the same sample size and repeat the test 3 times or repeat them 5 times or however many times I want to do it. And also with that, with the first iteration, I'll see some issues with the surveying with the questions that I'm asking. But